So we're at chapter 18, grand plans. My energy's at 90, my health's at 100. I think everything else is the same. No, my legend went up by 5. How did my legend go up by 5? Oh, okay. I don't know how that works. Before your eyes flutter open, your first thought is that you really need to invest in some anti-teleportation tech upgrades for your costume. Then as you do, you open your eyes. Your second thought is, where did all the light go? Then when you feel dozens of little legs crawling all over you, frantic, you reach your arms up, but they smack against wood. Then panic sets in as reality your situation crystallizes. You're trapped in a coffin, full of spiders. You only hear the sound of your scream bouncing back as you press your hands to the unmoving lid. Charge the damn thing. You charge the coffin with black energy and rig it to explode as quickly as possible. Suddenly, light bursts into view between chunks and splintered wood and spiders' carcasses. Some of the splintered wood cuts into your skin through your costume, but you're just happy to be out of the death trap. Okay. I'm about even. You look around and find that you aren't free yet. You're still in a large cage made of horizontal metal bars, and Grandma lies unconscious beside you. You rush to her aid, thankfully her pulse is still strong. She's just knocked out. She'll be fine. She dodged the brunt of the attack, Jenny says from nearby. You spin to find she's in a metal cage of her own, unarmed. You scan the room for Toronto Rain, but she doesn't appear to be here. Your energy bounced off the metal bar and hit her, which means you won't be able to blast your way out of these cells. You only think at Emmy Chibju, knowing you need to get Grandma's medical condition. And you make a call. Yeah. But as the thought forms, you feel a vacancy somewhere in the back of your mind. When Ju doesn't immediately respond, you raise your wrist to find a scabbed over crevice where your Emmy chip used to be. Yep. You feel a wave of despair run through you, paired with a jagged rush of loneliness. Is this what Grandma feels like all the time without an Emmy chip so unplugged? You turn to Jenny, and even though she's already scanning the room for escape points, she too rubs her wrist anxiously. What kind of maniacal evil genius could have laid such an elaborate trap? Prodigy suddenly says, appearing across the room. I mean, spider coffins, leached ME chips, energy-proof cages. It's downright indulgent. Even extravagance is at its absolute finest, don't you think? Look over at Prodigy and take in your surroundings. You're in what appears to be some kind of technologically tricked out underground bunker that smells like a mixture of ripe laundry and frozen dinners. What does that even smell like? I'm trying to think now, like ripe laundry. Are we talking like that stinky, goody kind of laundry? And like frozen dinners. I don't even know what frozen dinners smell like. I don't remember the last time I had a frozen dinner. Like when I was a freaking kid? I don't know. Anyways, then you notice the walls are covered with vintage posters of your parents and their Sound and the Fury What the? With each inch is occupied with photos, but they've all been twisted and distorted with graffiti. Then you see the center of the wall where a life-size photo of you in your dunce costume hangs. What the slugger is this indeed? Welcome to my luscious lair, Prodigy says, waving her arms around. Do you like what I've done with the place, chickens? Why have you taken us here? Greedy, oh so needy. Hold your horses, I'm rigging something up that'll answer all of your meddling questions, Prodigy says, looking down at the tablet device that appears in her hands. But if you must know, we're about 3 miles underneath a Big Sur fusion plant. That's impossible. The BFP powers the entire western portion of America, so its security measures are quite literally impenetrable. It's 30 miles inland from MC, but there's no way you are anywhere within 10 miles of the plant, otherwise you would have been detected instantly. Your look of skepticism wounds me, Prodigy says. I happen to have the power to generate whatever technology I can imagine, so long as it has some kind of warfare application. Rather bizarre how power sets can take on parameters like that, isn't it? Anyway, bypassing every security measure the BFP took a long time to sort out, but I eventually worked up the appropriate counter tech. This little hideaway is accessible only by telelock. They really are one of my handiest inventions, don't you think? What? But I do tire of explaining myself. If it's alright here for you, Prodigy says. She reaches between the bars and hands you the tablet. You look down at the screen and reads the Prodigy plan. You've got to be kidding me, you say, almost laughing. What are you, a comic book villain? Laugh all you want, but we're in the age of interactive reality, my little dunce. Prodigy replies with malice. I've captured every step of my rise to villainous legend for the public's pleasure. As a matter of fact, we're rolling now, so make sure to smile for the cameras. Prodigy gestures towards several floating dots that hover around her. Evidently, these are cameras following her every move. You're reading through my master plan as a part of the grand climax, so do hurry along. You look down at the tablet again, and a holographic menu of options appears under the reader. The Manifesto. I might as well read it. You must be wondering just who I am. Prodigy's holographic 3D images is projecting out of the tablet, so let's just cut right to the chase. I'm a bit of a legacy myself. My mother is famous, or rather, I should say she was famous. You see, Mommy Dearest was murdered when I was about a wee girl by two of the worst heroes to ever walk this earth. As Prodigy talks, your stomach seizes. It can't be. And that's right, loyal viewers. I am the daughter of the one and only Miss Artillery, who was murdered by the sound and the fury. To sum it up, I am the prodigal's daughter, given the gifts of her weaponry prowess before my time, the pinnacle of wasteful extravagance. You never knew that Miss Artillery had a daughter. In fact, you never bothered to know much about her life at all, since you blamed her for your parents' fates just as much as Mayor Victon. It never occurred to you that there might be someone out there blaming your family for the very same thing. And it is my life's ambition to become the villainess my mother never could be. In fact, it is my life's ambition to become the world's most legendary terrorist of all time. In every rise to legendary villainy, there must have been an arch-enemy to vanquish, Prodigy continues, in hollow 3D form. As you probably already know, I have chosen the fine dunce to be mine. After all, we are inextricably linked by the sins of our parents. The sins of your father? The parallels are really quite nice, don't you think? We're both striving for legend to make our fallen parents proud, forever locked in a battle of good and evil, an epic feud played out for all the world to see. It's so wonderfully consonant. After all, heroes cannot exist without villains, nor can villains flourish without heroes to crush. And crush dunce I shall. I'm going to do what Mommy Artillery could never do. I'm going to destroy the Sashimi family. Naturally, I've been following the Sashimis for years, all through their time in the PFPP. One of the perks of being powered to generate wartime tech is access to uncanny levels of surveillance. As Prodigy's hollow 3D image keeps talking, you don't even want to think about what that means. The thought that Prodigy has been watching you all this time is terrifying. Of course, I could have killed the Sashimis at any moment, but murdering Dunce directly would do nothing to get me noticed. Would have been a momentary blip on the great media radar. Not to make a true impact, I needed a sweeping plot, a grand tale, a monumental struggle. Most important, I needed Dunce to be a famous hero for his downfall to truly mean anything. So, I waited patiently, honing my powers and building a sizable fortune by selling my weaponized inventions, all funded by a nice little nest egg left to me by the sound of the Fury's estate. You have to fight the urge to scream. Prodigy will use your parents' estate, the money they made by saving lives as heroes, to fund all of her twisted endeavors. She used the money that should have been yours, the money for your parents' legacy, to build weapons designed only to kill. Your blood boils at the thought. Thus emerged the Artillery, a weapons empire named after my mother, the one who bequeathed my technology and inventing powers, though I doubt she'd ever know that I'd grow to become an Infinity class powered. Infinity class? What the Hearing this, you notice that Jenny flinches. What the slugger is Infinity class powered? Why have you never heard of this before? For those not in the know, they basically means I'm among a new breed of powards with near omnipotent, limitless, uncharted levels of power. Rather scintillating, is it not? Jenny said the same thing to me, though, about mine. So, we'll see about that one. Could that have been what Jenny was talking about with your mega ability? Could it be possible that you're one of those infinite power class people? The current menu fades and a new one appears under the header of the plan unfolds. The day Dunce finally acquired licensed hero status, I set my grand plan into motion. Let's pursue, shall we? I might as well just read all of this. This is going to be a long chapter. Oh! Get your butts ready! When I learned that Dunce had set up the Gravitas, I immediately discovered who possessed the artifact. I do have the best villainous clients from their artillery cell, so it was a breeze, really. Once I knew it was Smither who had the darn thing, I thought it would be absolutely delightful to crash the party and kill the old fool. He was rather pesky compared in the arms-dealing business. After all, of course, the real goal was to destroy the Gravitas, and then frame Dunce for all of this, which went off without a hitch. 'Twas but a small first move, child's play really. I wanted to test Dunce's limits, see how he would handle a little bit of adversity. You think back to that first night Prodigy had already been tracking you, ensuring that you'd fail. Once I saw the scrappy little do-gooder was ready to bounce back from the Gravitas, I decided it was time to embed a sidekick in Dunce's life. A good old grandma Sashimi wanted her little habadi to have one so badly. I didn't really have to do very much. After I saw that Dunce had chosen Toronto Rain, it was rather easy to blackmail her into being my pet by threatening her parents. Of course, I didn't need Toronto Rain to serve as a mole. I already had all the surveillance on the sashimis I needed. No, what I really wanted was a way to make Dunce squirm. I had to have him know what it's like not to be able to trust a soul in this world. Killing a hero is easy, folks, Prodigal's image says with a twist of grin, but grinding down their will, now there's the real challenge. Once Toronto Rain was in place, things went off without a hitch. Together, they broke up the anti-gang rumble, and Toronto Rain saved Dunce's life, creating a rather instantaneous bond of trust. It was simply marvelous to behold. Then, once I saw that Dunce was doubling back to take on the Splice Circle, I wanted that to go smashingly for him. After all, if Dunce remained such a no-name loser, no one would appreciate my grand schemes. So I made sure to send black magic in Dunce's direction with an ominous tip. And seeing the two hit it off like gangbusters was quite a treat, considering I haven't watched Habibi night after endless night, drilling over that black magic poster over his wall. A flush of embarrassed rage passes through you. How long has Prodigal been watching your every move? Nothing you've ever done has been private. You turn to Jenny, who, as your PFPB agent, looks equally floored by this information. The pool gillers I gave to Madame Vice was a peace offering for murdering Smither came in rather handy, drawing Dunce into the Millennial group, and what a golden opportunity that was. It appeared as if my plan to make Dunce a superstar was working even faster than expected. A team up with black magic was one thing, but a real live Minterview? Pure gold. And the only hitch was when Smither reappeared and murdered Madame Vice, which such a shame, that old broad I can't quite get along with. Oh, I got along quite well with. I really must track Smither down and make him pay, but that's a task for another day. Afterwards, riding a new wave of fame from his mint review, it seemed that Dunce had forgotten all about little old me, so I slapped my name on a warehouse deed and filled it with pool killer robots, even going so far as to put up a nice big the artillery sign. Of course, Toronto Rain helped Dunce find the right place. I made sure it was painfully easy to break into. But the poor simpleton still couldn't figure out quite who I was. Then that ghastly Whisk character showed up, which was quite a surprise to me. It would have been a stroke of genius to hire the assassin, pin it on Jerry, but sadly I can't take credit for that. It seems the honor would belong solely to Madame Vice, who had it out for her little heroes before she passed. Quite the... I can't even pronounce it. Posthumous feat? I don't know. I'm going to have to figure out that word eventually. Don't you think? Ordering a hit from beyond the grave? How deliciously treacherous. So it wasn't Jury who tried to have you killed after all. It was Madame Vice. For once in his miserable life, it seems Jury was telling you the truth. The Wisp's attack did wonders for dear Toronto Rain, though, who would now be embraced with open arms after a second life-saving showing. Somewhere in the midst of all this, I learned that Sonia Chawla was being considered on the short list of potential authors of the MC Hot profile. She was still looking for a suitable hero subject to pitch, so right before the Gravitas case, I tipped Sonia off about Dunce. After Sonia got the case-breaking scoop on the Gravitas and reported your debut, I knew she would be hooked. So it was only a matter of time before Dunce would finally get a dose of the legend he craved so badly, and only a matter of time before it'd be a moment to shine. Though there was a small hiccup. The hot board actually went with some fool named Tumbleweave at first, so I made sure to cripple the poor dear before the party, thus ensuring that the grant would go to Dunce instead. Really now, did anyone think that such a pathetic little brat could achieve this level of notoriety in such a short time all on his own? Preposterous. Hearing this, your heart sinks. You were named hot because of Prodigy? That's unbelievable. Then it came time for my beautiful endgame, the climax of the glorious web I had been weaving. Seeing how Dunce struggled while walking the line between fame and justice, I arranged for a tidy little moral choice, one that would publicly ruin him, of course. So, on the eve of the big hot award, I kidnapped Sonia and Toronto Rain. The stage was set for Dunce to choose, save the reporter that would bring him fame or the sidecook who stood for justice. I really had no idea which way he would go, so I was rather pleased when Dunce chose to save Toronto Rain, knowing that betraying Sonia would truly break his spirit. I killed that meddlesome little Sonia during the surely now infamous hot video feed, you know, the one where I proceeded to out Dunce's Habibie Sterling Sashimi, the murderous child of the sound and the fury. As the interactive hollow video ends, the real Prodigy beams with pride, tears forming. Riveting stuff, is it not? Prodigy says, wiping her eyes. It's a true masterpiece, one that I will release to the public to launch my villainous career and mark the start of my terror-reigning empire. I can just see the movie version now. They'll call it something grand like Prodigal Children. I'll have to clear a room on my mantle for the Oscars. As Prodigal continues to pontificate, you can hardly gather your thoughts. She's been pulling the strings since the day you got your hero license. Would anything have happened in your career without her meddling? Who cares what she did? I had to experience it. I had to do those things. I could have gone off the wall. I could have done something completely unpredicted and screwed up even further. But instead, I tried the best with what I knew. I am proud of what I have accomplished. Besides, it doesn't matter what has happened in the past. All that matters now is taking out this lunatic down once and for all. And now it is time to film the piece de resistance, Prodigy exclaims, the final chapter in the story of my villainous rise. You stare at Prodigy, wondering what possibly could have turned her into this twisted person. Despite her penchant for explaining things, she has said much about her life before this ridiculous plot. She hasn't said much, my man. What's most chilling, however, is how much you and Prodigy seem to have in common. Prodigy is so blinded and twisted by ambition, she doesn't see anything else. Is that what you were like, focusing only on your career and avenging your fallen parents? In your quest to become a legend, have you forgotten how to be a real person, just like Prodigy? Ah, good. Grandma Sashimi is back with us, Prodigy says, as Grandma begins to stir at your side. She will want to hear what's coming next. You immediately squat down and help Grandma sit up. She nods at you, indicating that she's all right for now. Meanwhile, Prodigy has begun to pace, filmed on all sides by her floating cameras, and now the time has finally come to break Dunce's spirit. First, I shall make the Sashimi's watch as I murder their beloved agent, Jenny. Jenny balls up her fist. She's clearly not going down without a fight. Still, cold fear creeps its way into your chest. You have to find a way to escape. Then, I'll make Dunce watch as I kill sweet Grandma Sashimi, Prodigy says. I think Strangler with some dead vines will quite nicely. Such poetic symmetry, don't you think? It would be better if you had me with some rice and some nori, but this sends you over the edge. Prodigy isn't coming near Grandma ever again. You're about to attack when you see that Jenny holds out a slip of paper through the bars of her cell. Where the slugger did Jenny get a pen and paper? What is this, the 21st century? You glance at Prodigy, but she's too busy with her monologue performance to notice Jenny's note. Then I shall commit the ultimate act of my career. I shall finally murder Dunce. It's rather silly that I haven't done so already, but the narrative are demanded some dramatic pauses. From when he finally does die, I want him to be truly alone, without hope or trust left in this world. But you've already stopped listening to Prodigy, instead deciding whether to risk gambling the note from Jenny. Only take it if it is the opportunity arises. You wait for a few seconds until Prodigy turns her back to the cages, but she could turn around and catch you at any moment. You know if you grab the note, Prodigy will just kill Jenny immediately. Forget the note, you think. It's best to keep Prodigy talking and try to stall her so you can come up with a plan. Then, I'll send this little interactive video right to the devoid. Prodigy continues in her own world, ensuring that the sound of the fear will suffer the way I have suffered. They'll be served the ultimate justice as I take away their family the way they took away mine. Then it will be off to the presses with my little video project so everyone can marvel at my evil genius. Prodigy pauses, evidently winding up for some final unhinged announcement. Of course, by then, I'll have decimated all of Millennia City with a nuclear holocaust, so people will be very interested in who I am. Just when you thought things couldn't get worse, Prodigy plunges to a new depth of hell. This must be why you're under the fusion plant. She's going to somehow cause a nuclear event. That is something you can allow to happen. Prodigy lets out a ridiculous fake laugh. She's really playing at this villainous thing pretty hard, which isn't all that stupid, you think. The more convincing her performance, the more people think she will probably go to tune into her little video project, no doubt. Only then I will be the most legendary villainess of all time, Prodigy yells, after I achieve the greatest act of terrorism ever committed on American soil. Dunce will be known as the most useless hero of all time, and I will become a living legend. Prodigy finally stops pacing and takes a massive breath, immensely pleased with herself. Now then, let's do some killing, shall we? Next chapter, The Prodigal Daughter.
I'm off to save the world like I'm some kind of Batman.